Hi, my name is Phil. I like talking about politics. It's going to be Brexit all today. And this particular video, what I'm going to do is to discuss the expansion of the lunatic fringe of the Brexiteer community, now looking like they're desperately scrambling to cover themselves by blaming Boris Johnson for the hard Brexit that they cornered him into pursuing. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So another term in the Brexit lexicon is making a comeback. It's been there before. It's coming back again. Beano. Brexit in name only. It has been used at various times over the past few years. Whenever the realities of Brexit look like coming into being, those Brexiteers who are not directly involved in the process and lack the courage to be honest have... they talk about, well, it's not the problem with Brexit, it's the way you're implementing it. This is just going to be a Brexit in name only. When Theresa May adopted the backstop, for example, in order to preserve peace in Northern Ireland with any breakaway from the EU, the deal was referred to as Brexit in name only because it didn't bring about what those Brexit charlatans had promised. And now that Brexit is finally going to happen under some conditions, we still don't fully understand what, but they all know that it can't possibly be the Brexit that they promised because that's not possible. And in just over 4 months' time, that's going to be evident. So the term is coming back again, but this time for Boris Johnson's withdrawal agreement. So there is now here was the problem. If we'd have got an actual deal with the EU, they would have said, well, it's the deal that's the problem. Now that people are cottoning on to the fact that there is a realistic prospect, if not a likely prospect, but at least a realistic prospect, that we could actually exit without a deal. Now Brexiteers are going, hang on a minute. So, right, this is going to be bad. We can't really blame the EU because there's not going to be a deal. We could try and blame the EU for the fact that we haven't got a deal, but then we sort of didn't want one anyway. The withdrawal agreement's the problem. That's the problem. And even though it's a withdrawal agreement that some of these people voted for in their respective parliament. So a couple of weeks ago, it was the Conservative MP, former leader and current laughingstock for being stupid enough to pick his own nose on camera and then eat the evidence. Duncan Smith. Not that he was regarded as being clever even before that event. But anyway, he was attacking the withdrawal agreement this month. I'd already talked about that. Even though he voted for it multiple times. The no-deal Brexit's not the problem as far as he's concerned. It's the withdrawal agreement. The withdrawal agreement's an absolute shambles. Yes, I know I voted for it during the last parliament. And yes, I campaigned for it during the general election. And then I voted for it several times in the newer parliament this January, but it's really terrible, That's the one. That one he voted for multiple times and publicly backed. The withdrawal agreement now all of a sudden is the problem. And now the Express, someone was pointing me to an article in the Express, the paper I talked about yesterday, wasn't it? One of the more rabid Brexit supporting newspapers. It's reporting a former Brexit Party MEP who also voted for the withdrawal agreement, but in the European Parliament this time, by the name of Alexandra Phillips. Now you have to be a bit careful there because there were two MEPs by the name of Alexandra Phillips. One was in the Green Party and one was in the Brexit Party. This is the one in the Brexit Party. And although she did leave the Brexit Party, she got a bit upset. But she's attacking the withdrawal agreement. Now it has to be said, this is nothing new. This particular MEP, a lot of them you wouldn't necessarily know. This one you may know because she was attacking the withdrawal agreement back in January, even though she then voted for it. And she was also very much involved in Cambridge Analytica as well. So she's been deeply involved in this project for some time. And she was quoted as saying, "I'm afraid that what Boris Johnson has lumbered us with, the withdrawal agreement, is basically the same thing Theresa May penned that he called vassalage." That's odd, because isn't that what we Remainers were saying last autumn? That it's basically the same as Theresa May's deal. It's just that you shift the hard border from inside Ireland to between Ireland and Great Britain. And he also elbowed a load of workers' rights and environmental protections. I mean, he put them in the political declaration so that they wouldn't be enforced in international law. But other than that, it was basically the same. Oh, and he gave up some of our money in the European Investment Bank. But as I say, she's not a recent convert to the concept of the withdrawal agreement being no good. She got her excuses in nice and early at the start of the year, lambasting it in January, at the same time as she was voting it through. And keen on hedging her bet, she doesn't just blame Boris Johnson. No. I mean, that's where Duncan Smith is making his mistake. He's blaming Boris Johnson's withdrawal agreement. She's also blaming Remainers. So she's blaming with Boris Johnson for his withdrawal agreement, and she's blaming Remainers who opposed the withdrawal agreement. So she's blaming the people who supported the withdrawal agreement, not her, obviously. She excludes her from that. And she's blaming people who opposed the withdrawal agreement, just, again, not her. And there'll be more of this coming, of course. Nigel Farage, of course, he's also been saying how bad Brexit's going to be along the highly predictable lines of it's the way Brexit is being handled that's wrong. Despite the fact that he has never given a consistent approach to how it should have gone. For every statement you try and quote me that Nigel Farage says, oh, it should be done like this, I will find one that contradicts it completely. Simple as that. Incidentally, he also voted for the withdrawal agreement. He didn't have to. It was going through anyway. It won by a landslide. If he really thought it was that bad, he could have voted against it in protest without ever risking its implementation. He didn't. Enough said. And, you know, this isn't the first time I've had to say this, and it will absolutely not be the last. Cannot allow these confidence tricksters to get away with it. We said Brexit would be a disaster. We need to be very clear on this, because they will try and use the line, Brexit could have been done well, they just did it wrong. Right. We said it would be a disaster. At every point we said it would be a disaster, and we were specific. We listed exactly in what ways it would be a disaster. Not just random disaster. Oh, in what ways it is a disaster, Phil? Oh, I don't know. No. We've talked about this, you know, over a great period of time. Now, they said Brexit would be wonderful. A number of them, David Davis most famously, even went as far as saying there would be no downsides to Brexit. Because again, you can argue for Brexit and basically go, okay, there's all these downsides, but then there's all these upsides, and the upsides outweigh the downsides. So on balance, I'm in favour of Brexit. But of course, there are going to be downsides. No, some of them, no downsides. So if there's no downsides, then it can't go wrong. But I'll tell you what, not a single one of them said. Not a single one of them said that Brexit could be great if you handle it right. They didn't say, not before the referendum. Not a single one of them made that statement before the referendum. As far as they were concerned, we were going to get all these wonderful things with Brexit. Now they're saying we're not. And it's someone else's fault. Usual thing, it's someone else's fault. No, it's not. It's not. It's their fault, and we need to hold them to account. Come January, a few weeks into January, when it becomes evident, whatever happens, I mean, it's going to be bad either way. Whatever happens, we need to point to that and go, that's Brexit. It's not COVID, that's Brexit. So it's not just the government that needs to be blamed over this. It needs to be everyone who supported it. I don't mean everyone who voted for it. I mean those who vocally supported it, who claim to have known what they were talking about. Because if you claim to have known what you're talking about, you need to stand by that vote in January. And I'll be there. But anyway, there it is. Those are my thoughts on that anyway. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.